This is the lesson video on solving quadratic equations. So it's quadratic equations solving by graphing. So we're going to be looking at the graph in order to solve them. All right. So the first part is quadratic equations solved by graphing notes. The solution to a quadratic equation are the points at which the function intersects or crosses the x-axis. Okay, the x-axis, the horizontal axis. The x-intercepts of the graph are the solutions or roots. Okay, so they're called several things: x-intercepts, solutions, roots. The solutions are also called zeros. So this is the fourth name you might see them as well, because this is where the equation equals 0. This is where our y value equals 0. Therefore, the answer to a quadratic equation can be called x-intercepts, solutions, roots, or zeros. The big thing is with roots is think of a plant, and it's where the plant goes into the ground. So the x-axis is your ground, and it's where it goes in. So here we have a picture of what it looks like when you have two solutions. So it crosses the x-axis right here twice. What it is when you have one solution, and this is where something called the vertex is touching it just once right there. And this is no real solutions, which means it's never going to cross the x-axis. It could also be a negative graph going down. Now, here are the steps to find the solutions of the following examples and practice problems. First, you set each equation equal to 0, just like when it's y equals mx plus b. You have to fill out a table. You use the calculator by doing y equals, enter the equation, then second graph to look at the table, and you look for what I call the Oreo of it, okay, the Oreo. You want to look for where it starts to repeat, and I'm going to show you guys kind of what that looks like. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. So if you look here at our graphing calculator, I'm going to graph what's called the parent function, the main function that they're all derived from, x squared. Okay, when I look at the table, I'm going to look for the Oreo. Now see, these start getting really big, so I need to scroll up, and here is the Oreo. What do I mean is it goes from 941 and it repeats in the reverse order, kind of like an Oreo. You have the decoration, the cookie, the cream, the cookie, and the decoration on the outside. Okay, so you look for where it's the Oreo, where it repeats to give you that curve, because all quadratic equations are curves. You're going to graph using the points from the table, and make sure you see where y equals 0 or where it might equal 0. It's not always going to be perfect. And don't forget, a point is x comma y. So you're just going to take the points from the table and plot them on the graph. And we have to set it equal to 0 by subtracting 3. I made a mistake on the other one and added it. Minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. So we're going to plug this into the calculator and look for the Oreo. Okay? Clear whatever is in there, because with the exponents it'll kind of mess it up. So I'm going to do x squared minus 2x minus 3. And when I look at the table, I hit second graph, and that shows me, and it just happens to be set to those numbers because I've just done the problem. So here's the Oreo right here, 5, 0, negative 3. There's my middle, my cream and my Oreo, and then negative 3, 0, 5. So it kind of like repeats it, it like reflects it kind of, okay? So I've given y'all the tables to fill out. You might not always have the tables. You might have to sometimes look them up. So our y value was 5. Then we had 0, negative 3, negative 4, negative 3, 0, and 5. And right here we see where y equals 0. That means that that's going to be our solutions. That's going to be where it crosses the y-axis, the x-axis. I'm so sorry. I even said it in my head to fix it. So let's go over here and let's plot our points now. Negative 2, 5. Okay. Negative 1, 0. 0, negative 3. 1, negative 4. And what I look at here is I look at the reflection points. This is kind of like my line of symmetry, and they're just going to be the opposite. You're just going to move them right up across from where they were on the other one. If you need to read the points, then read the points. So then I'm going to draw my parabola. The name of this shape is a parabola. It is a U shape, not a V shape. It makes a U down there, okay? And my solutions are where it crosses the x-axis are -1 and 3. So that can be written as a point. It can be written several ways: -1, 0, 3, 0. Because as a reminder, a point is x, y. And sometimes it will have you list it in the solution set. So x equals -1 and 3. Or you could just see it as -1 and 3. So there's several ways it can be written. It just depends on the form and who wrote the assignment or who wrote those problems, okay? So now let's go to our next one. The first thing we have to do is make sure it's set equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract that 1 from both sides. Subtract it this time. Now I want y'all to notice this was a positive x squared. This is a negative x squared. So what do y'all think that means it's going to do to the graph? Think about it. Okay, so I know that this one opens up. So I'm happy. I'm catching money. That's a positive. Think about it. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my calculator. I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to clear the equation in there because if I don't, it'll often like start typing over it, and I'm going to start typing. I'm going to do negative. Everybody look at the calculator screen on here. Negative is down here next to the enter screen. Negative x squared plus 2x minus 1. We look at the we look at the table by hitting second graph, and oh, it's right at the Oreo again, okay? So notice -9, -4, -1, 0, and then it repeats in kind of a reflection right there. So that is what we are going to fill out on our points over here. -9, -4, -1, 0, and then it repeats that. I do see where it crosses the x-axis. I do see where y equals 0. You might not always see that. So now we're going to go over here and we're going to go on ahead and graph it. -2, -9 is all the way down here. -1, -4. 0, -1. 1, 0, and then it's going to be the reflection. I call these the reflection points. It's the points that are kind of the opposite from what we're going to call the line of symmetry. And we're going to talk about some of that later. Right now, we're just worried about the solutions. So I'm going to go across here, and there we go. My solution just happens to be where it crosses the x-axis, and it's right there. It kind of crosses it, it touches it basically, and that's 1, 0. So your answer would be x equals 1, or just 1, okay? Or the point. It really depends on how the questions are formatted and what they're asked of. Now we're going to be doing this over a couple of days in class, but here on the video I'm going to go on ahead and finish the notes for you guys right now, and we will talk about domain and range on another activity. I will go back to this. So we're just going to do the basic graphing, all right? I'm going to sit here, I'm going to do the graphing with you, and I'm going to pause it when I actually put it on the graph to save you a little bit of watching. The first thing I would like to point out is this one asks to find the roots. The roots is where it goes into the ground on the horizon, the x value, okay? And the first thing we need to do is make sure it is set equal to 0. Now, I'd like y'all to note that that is the x, that is the b term, so it's going to come in the middle. I think it's really important we do write these ones straight, especially when we come to solving by factoring, because we're used to our ABC method. So I always recommend you do it. What you're going to plug into the calculator is this right here. And look for the Oreo. Just pretend like I didn't give y'all the tables. Make sure you can find them. So I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to clear it. X squared. If you don't clear it, it will not type as nicely. Plus 7. It'll end up kind of inserting instead of like typing over. We're going to look at the table, and I see a 19 to 12. Okay, so I see it repeating right here. See that? 7, 4, 3, 4, 7. So let's find the perfect Oreo if I can. I always like to find it. There we go. That's that math teacher in me, all symmetry. And I'm going to go ahead and write those down. Usually you only need 5 points. That's really important. But the more you have, as always, the more accurate your graph is going to be. Now, I'm going to go plot my points, but I do want y'all to notice, and this is perfectly normal, is that the -1, 12 isn't going to fit on there. So I'm actually going to start and I'm going to plot these points down here. And I noticed something. I don't see where y equals 0. So let's plot this and see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on right here. So I have 0, 7. That goes there. I have 1, 4. I have 2, 3. Oops. Drives me insane that it does that. Up here and up here. So this is no real, that's a terrible U. I hope yours looks better. This one is no real solutions. This one is no real solutions. It does probably have fake solutions, but we're not getting there. We don't learn that in here. And it's no real solutions because it does not cross or touch the x-axis. And that's why it has no real solution. So the answer is no real solutions. Right? Let's go to our example number 4. The first thing we need to do is set it equal to 0, which it is equal to 0. So I'm going to square what needs to go into the calculator. Go down to my calculator. And I'm going to plug it in. So I have y equals, going to clear whatever's in there, 2x squared minus 2. Going to look at the table by doing second graph. And I see 0, -2. So I see a 0 here, and these are getting way too big for my graph. I'm in math class. They're going to fit on my graph for the most part. Oops, I just went past it, looks like. So I see my Oreo there from -3, 16, which won't fit on the graph. So -2, 6, 0. If y'all see this, 6, 0, -2, 0, 6. Okay, so there is my Oreo. 6, what was that? 0, -2, 0, and 6. And I do see the y equals 0 there, which is always reassuring. Okay, so let's go plot these. -2, 6. Oh my goodness. -1, 0, 0, -2, 1, 0, and the reflection just goes right over there. It's kind of symmetrical. Draw my U shape, and there is my parabola. Hopefully I did it wrong. Let me check my answer key. Yep. And our answers are where it crosses the x-axis, so they're right there. That is 1, 0, and -1, 0, and that's it. Okay, we have a few more examples. 2 of them are multiple choice, but I'm going to go ahead and work through them all. In class, we're going to kind of do them a few at a time, okay? So this one is already set equal to 0 right here. So I just need to go plug it into the calculator. So let me bring out my calculator. And I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to clear whatever is in there. And I'm going to type in the equation. Negative, remember the negative key down here by the enter. If you look at the screen, I have it right there. -x squared plus 2. To look at the table, I hit second graph. And I need to find the Oreo. Oh, look, there's the Oreo right there, -3. So right here, I'll look at the y values for the Oreo. -7, -2, 1, 2, 1, -2, and 7. So they repeat right there. So I'm going to come over here and write them down. -7, -2, 1, 2, 1, -2, and -7. But I'm going to notice something here. I do not see the 0. I don't see where the 0 is on here. So I'm going to graph it and see what's up with that. I don't see where y equals 0, but it's got to be on here somewhere, right? So I hope. So let's go see if we can find out where it is at. All right, -3, -7 is right here. -2, -2, -1, 1, 0, 2. So I see the y-intercept, but I see that it does cross. But what it means is that it crosses between two numbers. It is a fraction or a decimal answer is what it means, okay? So when we have a problem like this, I am okay with y'all identifying it as such. This is between -2 and -1. This one right here would be between 1 and 2. Okay, and I'm okay with that on a problem like this. I'm going to have y'all estimated on a couple of your examples, okay? So that is all right. What I would like to show y'all is what that looks like on the calculator. So I'm going to pull up the calculator again, and I'm going to look at the graph by just hitting the graph button. And right here, it's really hard to see, but here's your one notch. So this one on the right is between 1 and 2, and this one's just past it, so it's between -1 and -2. So you actually see it on the graph. The other thing you can do is probably zoom in. I'm going to try that just a little bit and see if it's a little clearer. And right here, you can see where it is between 1 and 2, and it is between -1 and -2. So that can be an option to look at as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to my standard window because we're going to do some graphing problems now. So I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to clear it. And these are some multiple choice problems. Which of the following graphs represents the equation y equals x squared minus 2x plus 4? All right, and I just have a bunch of graphs plotted. So I'm actually just going to look at the graphs. That's the first place my mind goes, and that's the first place I'm going to tell you guys to go. You've got an equation, you've got a calculator. Plug it in. And I'm going to look at the graph. I'm just going to look at it and see if I can estimate. All right, okay. All right, so it's obviously kind of off and to the right, so that would eliminate C and D to me, because C is like way too low for it. So that's going to eliminate C and D. So let's bring that calculator back up, and I'm going to look at this bottom point right here, which we call the vertex. I'm going to see where that vertex is, and I see that. Let me zoom in for y'all, just so y'all can see it very clearly, okay? You'll be able to estimate it a little bit easier. So, oh, that's zoomed in too much, so that's not going to work, okay? So I'm going to have to look at it, and I see it's over 1, which both of these are, and it's up 1, 2, 3. So it has to be B, because B is where that vertex mass is. It's over 1, up 3. So this is what I see in the calculator, okay? And that's okay, because the other one is obviously a very different number and was much lower. So answer is B. Number 7, a graph of f of x equals 6x squared minus 11x plus 3 is shown below. What are the zeros? Again, the zeros are where the graph crosses the x-axis. So we're looking at here and here. Okay, so it's between 0 and 1. This one is between 0 and 1. So I'm going to come over here. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one, because that's only one answer, all right? That's only one solution, and it obviously has 2. So it has to be D. So this is 1/3, which means it's about 1/3 of the way over from that, and 3/2, which is 1.5. So that is your answer, and that is just estimating right there. Like this one is between 1 and 2. If you did 3 divided by 2, that gives you a 1.5. 1/3 gives you a 0.33, and you can look at this and see that, okay? So you're okay with estimating. There are going to be a couple of examples that you estimate. As a matter of fact, I'm going to